Evening.
Good evening.
Well, that was short and sweet. I told her to say more than that. I say, you know me better than everybody else. Go out there and, talk to the people and let them know about my background and stuff like that. But nonetheless, also, first I want to apologize that the other members of the organization couldn't make it. We had some issue with permits and stuff like that and all this stuff, but like I tell them, the show must go on. So, for those of you standing on the side, bring it in, because this is going to be an interactive meeting. It's not going to be a meeting that you're used to, where, the candidate up here and they're talking and going on. I want to hear from you. I want some questions from you. And that is how I want to start the meeting. So first, on the agenda is the economy. The economy of Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and in general. People say it's hard. It is true. And every other candidate will come up here and tell you, okay, they can fix it as soon as they get into office. I say that is pure politics. It is just talk. To fix something like that, we have to start today. Or in fact, we should have started yesterday. Because why do you have to wait for someone to get into office to fix something? Right? It makes no sense to me. If you couldn't do it now, and you couldn't pull together your resource base to do it, why you need votes to do it? And ladies and gentlemen, I would never ask you for a vote. I would never ask you for that. All I ask is that you come out and you listen and you pay attention to our plans for the country in general and to our background. It is you, the one, that have to do the job to really screen your candidates. Many of them want to come and stand and say that they're well qualified. But the issues we face is not simple issues. These are issues that we have to tackle, and these are issues that we're faced with from way back when. We've been going back and forth with the same two organizations for the last 30 years or so, back and forth. It's the same thing that we talk about every election year: the roads, education, healthcare, social programs such as poverty, stuff for poverty alleviation. Everything that we're talking about today is the same thing we talk about for the last 30 years. Nothing new, no innovative plan, nothing. Just imagine we're in an election period and no one except the Progress Party released an updated manifesto. Everybody else, the two organizations been going back and forth between the same thing, attacking one another, back and forth, back and forth. So you have to ask yourself, when is someone is going to come and unite us all under one unified vision? And that is what we're about as the Progress Party. I'm not telling anyone to assign or align yourself to this organization. We don't want that. We don't want any affiliation where you're calling yourself Progress Partyites or this kind of things. We don't want these things in politics. We want you to pay attention to the issues. And that is what it should be about, issues. It shouldn't be about anything else. And you're supposed to vote for the candidate that best addresses your issues, as well as the candidate who has the education, the experience, and the drive to really get something done, with whether they're elected or not. And that is what it should be about. It shouldn't be about who puts up a 15. It's supposed to be about who has the drive and who have proven to actually get things done. So, to begin, Carriacou, we have many issues. We have a water issue in Carriacou, especially in the dry season. We have a waste management issue for anyone who have taken a visit to Dumfries. We have a healthcare issue, which tied into transportation. We have an agricultural issue. But above all those issues, we have a social issue, because as a people we are not working together. And this is what it's going to take to really move Carriacou forward, is us coming together as one, where we don't depend on government. Everybody always making you feel that you have to depend on government to get things done. You don't have to. I say this and I say this all the time. As a people, we can come together and fundraise and do anything we want. You know, no 15 people in office or 15 people that we elected can really serve thousands and thousands of people. It just doesn't make sense to me when I hear this whole politics talk. You know, we have no offices set up. We're standing right in front where it says local government. And there is a now sign with 2 exclamation marks. And we've been crying and we've been going back and forth for years about local government. You go into the villages, no one can tell you who the village leaders are. You're trying to get something done, there is no one in these villages who can bring people together to say something as simple as organize a sports meet, a little cookout, or whatever it is. We're missing on those things. No leadership. And it happens from the top down. So people might say, well, you know what? We want to try. I don't know what's going on with this power issue. You know?
That's another issue.
I was going to say it's a Grand Lake issue for a second there. Okay, so top of my list for Carriacou is the economy. And people can say what they want, but Carriacou has like the 3rd largest economy when we look at Grenada in general. And most of the money earned in Carriacou is not being reinvested in Carriacou. And that is because we doesn't have local government. So there is no one in this office standing up and say, you know what, taxes paid in Carriacou, money earned in Carriacou should stay in Carriacou and go towards the benefit of Carriacou. All this money is shipped back to the mainland and then it comes back here. Whether you want to believe it or not, out of the whole budget that is put out for Carriacou, about $10 million is put back into Carriacou for everything that we do. $10 million. This is the same budget that TAMCC operates on. So, healthcare, education, infrastructure like roads, even the hospital, maintaining the schools, all this stuff have to, you know, government workers, all those things comes out of that $10 million.
Where is it?
You understand? So we need people who can go into St. George's and stand up for Carriacou. And I don't see that when I look around and I look at leadership. And for those of you that know my background, I spent many years in the military. In fact, I spent many years training soldiers to become leaders. So that is what the military does. So I've trained many people to lead. So I know a good leader when I see a good leader. And no one can come up here and say, you know what, I could lead if you've never really done anything. But when you look at the Carriacou economy, there are many things we can tap into. Top of my list is waste management. You look at Dumfries, when you go down there you might see a lot of trash. I see a lot of revenue when I look at Dumfries. What Carriacou needs is an integrated waste management plan. That is a plan that focuses on reducing waste, reusing stuff that we use every day, and also recycling. You look around, especially right here in town, you wouldn't even see a trash can that's labeled. And that's okay, even if you don't see those things, it's okay. But for one, if those things are not labeled, we need a facility that can actually separate those things. When you look at how it's done in other countries, in fact, in the city I once lived in, Manchester, New Hampshire, waste management is a $200 million business. And they're not doing anything different. They're picking up trash, they're sorting it, and that is where jobs come in. You have people in there, ordinary people actually working in these facilities, separating plastic. Colored plastic goes here, the clear plastic goes here. How many of you know that the clear plastic is used as a polyester? They convert it back into polyester to make clothes and do all those things. How many of you know that? How many of you know that there is a recycling processing plant? So when all the bottles and things come in, they break it down and those things get reprocessed and they make containers and bottles and all those things. So when you go to the supermarket, the chances of you buying something in a new container is very slim to none. It's something that's been recycled. There's a lot of money. In fact, St. Kitts is one of those countries that that recycle a lot of their waste. Last year alone, they earned over $25 million from recycled waste. I listened to the Solid Waste Management Authority, and they claim that we're not producing enough waste for recycling or even for export. And I disagree. I disagree because everything we put in the dumps can be recycled. Even old concrete from industrial waste, from building and stuff like that can be recycled. Even tires, like right now the US are using the tires in the roads. They're remixing it with the asphalt, which produce rubberized asphalt, as they call it, rubberized roads. It's also used in playground tiles. It's also used for energy. What I'm saying is, if we are to focus on growing an economy, we have to be focused on managing waste properly. It's all this tie into your health as well. If we're not handle waste properly, that is where the next outbreak comes from. From water, we have to look into clean drinking water, waste management, and also eating healthy. So the next topic is food security. We're not feeding ourselves. We're importing so much stuff. So much stuff we're spending importing. Over $300 million goes out of the country every year. We're importing all these products. And when you look, recently we have a rise in cancer. And that all comes from all this canned stuff and processed stuff. You know, I've been drinking gospel juice since I've been here since 2015. I've been drinking gospel and lime juice. I talked to my cousins and them. They said, hey, we don't drink gospel juice here. Who want this thing?
Local.
I said, well, it's more for me. It's more for me. But this is the point. We're growing so accustomed to all this processed stuff and what we see on TV, and we need to really take it a step back and really look at ourselves and go back and really figure out why people from, you know, our grandmother age and those people that came before us, why they lived so long and why we are dying so young. Because the life expectancy rates actually, age actually went down. And that's because we are not eating properly. So if we are to reward our healthcare system, and everybody's saying, you know, healthcare system is this and it's messed up and this. Yes, that is true from an infrastructure perspective, but the best way to do it is prevention. They always say prevention is better than cure. So for one, if you want to reward the healthcare system, one, we need to focus on clean drinking water, proper waste management, and we have to eat healthy, and the only way we can do that is if we eat what we grow here. All this processed stuff we have that coming in and giving us sickness, we don't have the facility to really, you know, get the checkup, the yearly checkup. How many of you have did a physical this year? By the show of hands. You had a physical done this year. How many of you had a dental cleanup? It's something you're supposed to do at a max every 6 months.
No, you see the dental cleanup?
We don't have that.
I don't care for that.
We don't even have doctors here on a regular. In fact, some doctors, you know, we get them twice a week and all this stuff.
No, we have doctors, but they cannot attend to what is like, you know, wrong medication.
Well, it's still a doctor, so that's the doctor's fault. We can't go by, you know, saying they're giving you wrong stuff. You know, this is what we have, and you know, the funny thing about it is we have a medical school that's been here since the late 70s. Yet we talk about having a shortage of nurse, a shortage of doctors, and all these things. Well, so you have to ask yourself, when is this thing gonna stop?
I don't know, baby.
When is this thing gonna stop?
I don't know.
It probably won't. And I guarantee you 5 years from now, we'll be standing in this same place and we'll be talking about the same issue. I don't care who gets elected for Carriacou.
Preach it, brother.
These people do not have the drive to get anything done. And you will see, I'm waiting so patiently after the election to really see who wants to come together and work together for the sake of Carriacou. Put aside politics, put aside your personal feelings, and work for Carriacou. We don't have those things.
You're joking, that.
You can't say something good yet. But wait, just give me a minute and you'll say something good. Yes. Right. So yes, the economy is number one, and those things I outlined earlier, waste management, eating what we grow, all those things help fuel other sector. Because the economy, if we look at waste management and we do something properly about waste management, we'll be able to create more jobs, new revenue stream that government hasn't been able to tap into, because they only focus on taxes, which is easy when you have a Republican government. Look at the history of how a Republican government operates. New taxes, no innovative ideas or innovative plan on how to generate more revenue for the country. And that is true. We look at our healthcare system. How do we reward and how do we invest in our healthcare system? Well, one, you can do it by asking the wealthy Grenadians that we have home and in the diaspora to pay a little bit more in taxes. Just pay a little bit more, and that takes some negotiation. If we talk to these people, many of these people want to help. They do want to help. If the wealthy pay a little bit more in taxes, then we have more money to really fund our healthcare system. Because at the end of the day, and we all can agree, government can't do it alone. But they've been making you feel that they could do it alone, and they can't. 15 people plus who lead government cannot do the job alone. And that's a fact.
On that jersey.
I gave you a jersey already.
No, I didn't get it.
Yes, you did.
But tell me go my way.
I put it on you, you wear it here in tongue.
No, I want that jersey.
Yes, you did.
Man, that jersey, I didn't.
Agriculture is the next topic. No, agriculture is an industry that we let died over the last 20 or 25 years. Now everyone coming up with a plan talking about agro this and agro that and blah blah blah, and what their plan is to get young people into agriculture. But if you never focus on something like that, and we're talking about two organizations that both had their shot at leading government, right? You know, and none of them really put any emphasis on agriculture. And now they're talking about agriculture. So how are we going to get the agriculture sector going? It's not going to get going by pouring a bunch of money into it. I don't care how much money you pour into agriculture sector, it's never going to revamp or really revitalize agriculture. The only way to get the agriculture sector going is by bringing in experts to teach each farmer what it takes to get the job done. So we can talk about all these new methods, you know, aquaponics. We can talk about all those things, but if we do not teach the farmer how to do it, it's never going to go nowhere. And nobody, as you can see, all of us been children at one time, and we give our teachers a lot of problems in school. We don't want to pay attention. We've been distracted. Now people are even more distracted with smartphones and all these things. So think about how hard it will be to teach farmers who have been trained in traditional farming for so many years. How are you going to train these people to adopt new methods? It's going to take a lot of effort, and it's going to take a lot of time, or in other words, equity. And that is why agriculture died over the years, because no one really wanted to invest the time into teaching the farmers how to really grow and to use technology to really yes and to use technology to their benefit. So they talk about ICT and they talk about other ways of implementing technology, but if you don't actually go to the level where the farmers is and show them how to do it, it's never going to get done. And I don't see anyone who is going to help the farmers do this stuff, because if we look at the structure of government, we have a health minister with no background in health. You understand? We have all these different ministers serving in different positions. I urge you to take a look at the Canadian cabinet and all the parliamentarians they have. Many of those people are assigned to a post that they're qualified for. And this is what we need in Ghanaian politics. We need people who actually qualify to do the job. If you're going to be a minister of health, you should have a damn medical degree. You're going to be a minister of agriculture, you should at least have some kind of degree in agriculture or some kind of background. Maybe you've been a farmer for many years. And that is the issue, and those are many of the issues that cause the mess that we're in to begin with. The next topic is education. Education is one of the best ways to get out of a current situation. Regardless of whatever situation you're in, education is the only way out of many of the issues we have. For one, education teaches you how to be an independent thinker, which means nobody can put words in your mouth. You think for yourself. That's what education does. We also look at infrastructure. Well, for you to learn, you need infrastructure. And if we're going to fund education, if we're going to have the proper facilities where students can be comfortable and learn, what are we doing? We look at Bishop's College right up the streets. If any one of you take a walk up there, the windows are falling apart. In fact, the windows, some of them don't have windows up there. And we're talking about education, we're talking about a government, and we're talking about an opposition, and we're talking about all these groups that we have. And you want to tell me no one in the community could have come together and say, you know what, let's do a fundraiser, let's do something, and let's fund, you know, whether it be GoFundMe or whatever it is, to really put some windows in Bishop's College. Nobody is doing those things. You know, everybody is campaigning to win election. Nobody wants to work and come together, and this is my message to them. Join me. Let me use my resource base, and you use your resource base. And let's put aside this party politics and let us work for the common good. That is what I want. And that is why I'm on this platform. I'm not on this platform to come and beg you for votes and these things. I can promise you I will be the Prime Minister of Grenada in 5 years. I can promise you that. But we have to start somewhere. And what I want to do, I want to work. And I want to work with the people. And I want to use my skills and my education and the resources I have at home and abroad to work. Right now I have a medical team who wants to come here to test your eyes and doctors who wants to work here. And we having issues because we have a housing issue. We just can't find a place to house them yet. So if I have the team, maybe the next party can say, you know what, we can provide the housing for those people. And we can bring them here and do something. And who wants to take credit for it, they could take credit for it. I don't care. As long as we get the job done, that is what's important to me. Just getting things done. And that is my main focus.
Amen.
You know, let's put aside this thing and get the job done. And whoever win Carriacou, you have my full support. You have the full support of the Progress Party. You have the full support of my logistics. You have the full support of my team here and abroad to do whatever you want to do, whatever project you want to fund, whatever it is. You have my full support. And that is my pledge to Carriacou.
Amen.
The next thing I want to focus on the culture.
Yes.
Because you know they say, the culture is bigger than the man. So, we have a dying culture. Tradition, everything. And people, when we talk about culture and we reflect on culture, we have to look at the language. Back in the day, we had this little patois, our grandparents were speaking in those little things, and we don't understand when they want to talk their little Tory, as they say. With the food, technology, and art. Every culture has some kind of technology that they used back then. And that is some of the things that we need to preserve. My main focus on how we preserve the culture is by filmmaking and by teaching. We have to teach the younger generation what it is that we used to do. I teach my kids all the time. I tell them about all the food. I cook the food at home. And that is another way to preserve culture, through food. The second way of preserving your culture is by teaching it to the younger generation. And the third way is by sharing it. We have to share it with the world. Share the culture, not the culture, share the technology, the art. And also use filmmaking is another way. So we don't have anyone telling our story. And that is something we need. In the next 2 months, we will launch the Carriacou Film Festival. And it's going to be a film festival that's unique to Carriacou. We're going to include films from all around the world that's made by Grenadians. And we're going to show you back, and we're going to show it back to the people. And we're going to try and keep this thing going, but I need support. I can't do it on my own, so we've developed it. We've tied it into all the major online distributors. It's tied into the distributors for Netflix and Amazon. So any work that we shows here, they will see it. And my hope and my goal is that a young filmmaker from here or any documentary get some kind of distribution deal so you can be streamed in one of those online media. And that is something I want to do for the Carriacou and Party Mass Meeting. Thank you. And also sports. You know, sports is something that we haven't seen really transcend into what we can do as a people. We're black people. We're strong as a lion. I can't even name one athlete besides Kieran James who really went out there and made it on the international stage. I know people I play sports with, young people. Kenrick Gay was one of the top soccer players I know back in the day. Goalkeeping, even basketball. So many of these people had so many skills, but they never went anywhere. What we want to do, we want to focus on the sport development continuum. And that is just a series of training that an athlete goes through. It starts from about 6 years old. And we train you, and we watch you, and we help you grow between the different stages. So you advance from the elementary stage, the primary school stage, you go on to the high school stage or the secondary, and you go on to the college level. But to get the students from that advanced level into the pros, what we need is people who can really scour the earth and look and see where the next tryout is going to be. For say the MLS, the NBA, all this other international sports. But when we look at all these athletes, and people may, I don't know if many of you wonder, well, how these foreign athletes get into the league when you come from Russia, you come from France, you come from these different places. Sometimes it doesn't take anything. Because they went through the stages of development, you can track their progress from a young age all the way up to when they went pro. But it takes one person, it's usually a series of two people actually, who can really go out into the world and take them to this meet or to this scouting, where they can try out and make teams. And this is what I want to work with. And this is something we're going to be doing, I think, in April. I'm going to be working with a gentleman who is from here. He's already working with a Carriacou football team. And we want to bring together our resources and all the athletes we have here and try and see if we can get them deals to where they can play at the professional level abroad. Because as any one of you know, government doesn't really do anything for local sports, and that's a fact. You know what I mean? You look at the Grenada national football team or any one of the national teams, they get no real funding from government, which is sad. Not even a salary. So many of the guys that I know on the football team, some work in construction, some work in sales, and they have to balance those two things. They have to balance their day job and the professional playing career. And this is something that is very hard to do, because if you're going to do something and you're going to be the best at something, you have to be focused and you have to do it every single day without, without doing anything else. When you look at these people that make it in the pros and everywhere else, this is the only thing they do. They just play football or they play soccer. That's all they do. They wake up and they play every single day. They eat, breathe, sleep. When you look at all this famous musician and everybody else, that's how they do it. By doing it over and over again every single day. And that's what it takes to be great. By doing the same thing and trying to progress as you go, learn new things, and you move on. So, next, I want to take some questions from you, because I want this to be very informal. I want to take some questions from you, the audience, and see if I can address some of the issues that you may have concerning Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And we'll save Crippler for last. So any questions from anyone? Any question on myself? Any question on the Progress Party?
You think I can change? Go change.
The Progress Party stand most predominant, my dear.
Any questions? You can't be standing and tell me you don't have no questions. We're in election season, somebody has to have some questions. How about you, Wendy? You don't have no questions?